I do believe that. I feel like there is somebody out here for everybody.
Absolutely.
But then you do hear women complain about there's a shortage of men, you know.
Because there is with one woman.
There is.
We know that.
is
We
a
talk
statistic.
about it all the time.
That is a
Statistically,
stat.
yeah, it is.
Yeah, that's a
it
stat.
is.
So I
That's
don't
just
think we're
what it is.
complaining. We're just stating facts.
Yeah.
It's very hard.
Yeah.
That's why I be open dating outside your race, ladies.
Oh, you really go?
Sorry.
I
It is
understand.
what it is.
I understand.
But do you
Got
feel like?
to.
But do you guys feel like with dating? Do you feel like sometimes we can be impatient with God when it comes to dating? You know, because a woman may say, you know what, I'm only dating men who are stronger than faith or believers. But you know what, let me open my window up to non-believers just so I can have more options, and that'll better my chances of finding the person I'm supposed to be with or want to be with. So do you feel like we can be sometimes too impatient with the dating process because we want what we want when we want it, but we don't want to do it on God's time?
what would cause some impatience? Like loneliness?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Maybe if a man or woman, they got to a certain point in life, maybe they haven't found that one, maybe they haven't had kids yet, and they still trying to find the right one. I mean, they could maybe make them questioning, like, Lord, why haven't I found the right one, or why? So I mean, get situations like that, life-changing events that they haven't came across yet.
And that's when we start steamrolling into settling and just accepting things. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, that loneliness is a killer, man.
Loneliness or people not you don't love yourself like you're like you don't like being alone, you know, or people are used to being in relationships.
Ooh, yeah.
Oh man,
like that. They might not even be lonely, but they're just used to being in relationships.
somebody,
With somebody. Because you're gonna go through different seasons of life. If you're looking at social media,
man,
it's like I tell people I'm not an emotional cutter. I'm not. If I'm feeling, I go through phases. If I'm feeling a certain way of not being married yet or a mother yet, I won't be on Instagram scrolling. That's being an emotional cutter. I won't do that. That's why it's important for your sanity to take time away from social media because
Take a break from
you're
that
busy
thing, yep.
looking at everybody else's life or whatever, and it looks ain't what it seems. We know that, right?
Yep.
So not doing certain things like that. But to your point, wanting it, it's like a sense of desperation or feeling like you're going to make it happen. We saw that with Sarah. She didn't wait until have the baby. She forced Abraham to have a baby with Hagar. So, and then she resented him for doing it with Ishmael, having Ishmael. So we as people in general, to your point, we're in our flesh and we want things when we want them. And we have to understand God doesn't see time. There's no time. So it's perfect, his perfect timing. And that requires a lot of faith because it's not easy. I'm in a Facebook single Christian women or whatever in a Facebook group. And there's a lot of women on there that talk about how they've been celibate for maybe 10 years still waiting or this and this and that. But then they're transparent and they'll say, my desperation, I got with this dude. He I thought he was the one. He said he would wait. We had sex and then all hell breaks loose. But I love it because then they learn from me because they put their transparency, like they were feeling the loneliness or the pressures of family or society to be a mother, to be a wife, or thinking their life is incomplete, not being those certain things. And when they fall or stumble, or doing it their way, then they put it out there but they regret it and like they're trying to get back on doing it, God's way. And so I think it's dope to have different support groups like that or communities where people you can talk to and be honest and iron sharpens iron, right? What do you do when if you're trying to be celibate to marriage? You need to talk to dudes who maybe already doing that. You can't be around men who are like, nah, they don't want to do that, and they're every woman they see they effing and doing all that. That's gonna rub off of you, right? So it's like it's about being around like-minded people will help as well. And people that's going to pour into you, encourage you, and have an accountability partner of, no, don't do that. Just wait, because we're all gonna have our feelings, and you get into your feelings, but you can't stay there, right? You can't stay in your pity party.
Nah, and this is why knowledge of self is so important as well, because you got to know your triggers.
Yeah,
Man,
know
you hit it
yourself.
on the head.
You have
know
to-
your triggers.
you have to know your-
man.
and-
I had to sit myself down. I had to really sit myself down and do an examination of myself and say, you know what? I got to know what triggers me. What are some things I'm weak about? Because my pastor used to always say, when you're trying to stay away from chocolate cake, the devil ain't gonna offer you no banana pudding.
right.
He gonna give you the best looking cake. It's gonna be sweet. It's gonna be good.
Everything
And sometimes
want.
you can't anything you want.
Yep, that's right. That's
Facts.
right.
Yeah, man. Be honest with yourself, man. Be honest with yourself and know yourself. And like you said, get off social media. We've kept social media's been thrown out a lot on a lot of these topics.
Yeah.
And we see that is a crux, man. That is something that is causing a lot of people to slip and fall. Whether through comparison.
Yeah.
I'm looking at him and what he got and what she got. That's killing your joy.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And seeing couples get. So sometimes go touch earth, put that phone down.
Yep.
Go surround yourself with good brothers and good sisters who can give you that encouragement.
Yeah.
And like you said, if you know, hey, one drink, I'm good on a date. But if I have two, I start thinking some crazy thoughts.
Right.
Know your
Some crazy
know
thoughts,
yourself.
man.
And hear that Summer Walker, you ready to drop it down?
Man, I just heard this. I
Bust
just
it
heard this
open.
track, man. Bust it
Yeah,
over. I said,
yeah.
"Oh man,
Now I'm triggered. Now I want.
I'm looking
yeah,
at my
right.
bracelet. I'm looking at my bracelet. I'm like, I'm sorry, B. Look, just one time,
Facts.
B. I'm sorry, B.
Took it off in the shower, then put it back on.
Take it off.
Real
Then I
talk.
put it back on.
You do put it back on. That's important. When we fall, we got to get back up, right?
Nah, that's right. That's right.
Man, that's good stuff, man. Good stuff.
Sure.
So I got another question for you guys. So I know a lot of people, I know being a Christian and dating, a lot of people want to be married and stuff like that. For you guys, as individuals, is marriage still a goal? Like, is marriage still an end goal for you guys as far as like Christian dating and getting there? Is that still the goal? I'm gonna start with you.
Yeah,
Outfit.
it's the end goal. I mean, I can't say it's for everybody, but we all growing up have a little fairy tale to find our perfect woman or man and ride off to the sunset. Now, as we get older, some of those thoughts might change a little bit. Like, wait, man. But I think in totality, at the end of the day, most people will still see marriage as the end goal. I know it's not always visible in most households. That could be the hindrance. But I think for the most part, in totality, most people would still like to be married, the end goal.
True.
I'm seeing people get married twice or three times, and and I'm looking at it like, man, I'm a one and done. I only want to do it one time, but I respect people who say, I'm gonna give it another go. You know what I mean? Even though it didn't work out this time, maybe I didn't choose wisely, maybe I didn't vet properly. You know what I mean?
That could say a lot about them for somebody want to marry them twice, but and they got there once or twice, while some people still struggling to get there the first time. So,
What about you, Mr. Forte?
Yeah, and I agree. I think, like I said, everybody's different. I've talked to many people who say they don't never want to get married. You know what I mean? They just want a life partner.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So to each his own. But I think for the most part, people will say, I want my forever.
Yeah.
I want my storybook ending, when it comes to that. But, I would agree with Hafiz, for sure.
V?
Same thing. Yeah, you think most people, they say the younger generation, they're moving more away from marriage. They're loving their singleness. And so things of that nature and their happiness and their peace. But yeah, for most people, they probably most likely do want to be married. And if you've had those examples where you have parents that are still married or grandparents who didn't pass away until they're like 80s and 90s and both are still married, and all your aunts and uncles and people in your family are married, when you say struggling to do it once, it's about how you view marriage and you take it serious. And to your point, you want to do it one and done. You put more stock in it. You understand it's a commitment before God. So I could have been married before or engaged or whatever, but it's like I'm looking at it as different. It's serious for me. Like my brother, my sister who's married, we was like, it's serious. We're not just doing it. Or I didn't want to get married when I was young because I knew I didn't trust myself when I was young. You know what I'm saying? As far as trying to pick the right mate or the guys I were dating. No, I didn't want to get married when I was young. Everybody's path is different. Sometimes that works for people, and then sometimes you see people get married young, and then by the time they hit their 40s, they're divorced because they grew apart. To your point, you always say that people grow apart, and sometimes like that, or So I know for me, definitely desire to be married, but I don't make it an idol, and it's not the promised land. It's not all about that. It's real for me. It's something that I desire, but it's not an idol. It used to be when I was younger. I used to make marriage an idol, and a lot of women do because of society pressures. Right? I was in my 30s, finishing my doctoral program. The youngest person, 33, when I graduated in my program. I was after that. It was like everybody was like, "Okay, what's next? Okay, now you can the kids marry," and I'm like, "No, I'm not ready. I'm still." My career, things of that nature or whatever. And so women, we have a lot more pressure on us to be married, to be a mom, or the women who say they don't even want children or whatever. There's a lot of pressure on that,
That's true.
And so I would say, yes, a lot of people want to, but that's how it can become easy for women, us to make it an idol. And that's all we want. And so we're doing things as far as the desperation, or we're fixated on the ring, or we want this big lavish wedding, but we're not focusing on the marriage.
Or
You
being
know
a
what I'm
wife.
Or being a wife, or exhibiting those, like you said, Proverbs 31 characteristics.
Proverbs 31 woman.
And stuff like that, and understanding that what submission means, or understanding how to pick a right mate. You shouldn't just marry anybody. So, you know what I'm saying? Because that's an important decision. That's one of the most important decisions we're going to make in our life. I don't know if we realize it. But if you view marriage with a lot of stock and value, you're not going to jump into it. And so I respect people is that, because you're really being intentional and you're thinking about it.
Yeah, the family dynamic has changed a lot over the decades.
Man, yeah.
Yeah.
It